Hey, what's up, guys? This is Emphasis from Ravens Over Everything, and I'm just gonna jump right into this review. I'm still happy we won this game. The Ravens beat the Lions 19-17, but I just, even though a win is a win, there was just so many things that I think went wrong there throughout the game. Like, this game easily should have been a blowout, and just several things went wrong. The number one thing I'm gonna start off with is just the drop touchdowns. Like, when you combine the four opportunities to get touchdowns, that two of them Hollywood dropped, one of them Sammy dropped, and one of them Mark Andrews dropped. When you combine those four, and when you add in that Lamar running touchdown that got called back because of a flag, you talking about 30 points being left on the table. And just as a fan watching that's just infuriating. The Sammy drop, to me, I don't think it was the worst, because when I look at the angle Sammy was at, to me it looked like it might be a case of maybe when the defender's hand went up in the air, it kind of messed with Sammy's vision a bit. But still, that's a catchable ball, man. That was a catchable ball. That was a beautifully thrown pass, landed right in a spot where only Sammy could catch it. And Sammy got to bring that in, man. Sammy has to bring that in. Now, Sammy ends up making up for it towards the end of the game. I'm gonna get to that later, but that should have been a completion, man. Like, they got to do better than that. Mark Andrews dropped what would have been a pretty easy touchdown. Lamar put it in a good place. Mark Andrews just has to make that extra effort just to reach out, just to lunge a little bit further for that. And some people might say that's kind of harsh, but at the end of the day, Mark Andrews is getting paid $56 million. He needs to find it within himself to make that extra, to go that extra mile. And Mark Andrews still had a good game besides that. He had 5 receptions and 109 yards, but to me, that would have been his most important and best catch of the entire game. So it's just a shame that he, wasn't able to, get his hands on that. And Hollywood, man, I still think Hollywood's gonna have a great season overall, but this was just a sad game to watch for Hollywood, because he just had a bad game. He had a terrible game. He missed. Oh, earlier in the video I said there was like 30 points left on the table. Really, it was like 36, 37 points, because I forgot Hollywood dropped 3 touchdown opportunities. He missed on 3. A deep pass that was on the right side of the field, outside the numbers, that Lamar put right on the money. Hollywood just let it sail. He just let it go right past his fingers. It was within arm's reach. He missed it. Then after that, another pass Lamar threw to the back of the end zone, right on the money. It went right through Hollywood Brown's hands. And then oh my gosh, the most frustrating one. They're all frustrating, but that one pass where it was about like 40 or 50 yards or whatever, Lamar threw it. Lamar was on the run. He threw it to the left side. He threw it on the left side of the field, outside of the numbers. It was a perfectly placed pass. Hollywood was about 5 yards away from the end zone. The Lions secondary was beat. It was a wrap. And again, Hollywood dropped it. And in my head, I'm just like, well, maybe he just was. I can't even really think of a reason to justify him just having just this bad of a game. Like, because maybe he was getting ahead of himself and he was trying to run before he secured the ball. But come on, man, like you were off to such a good start this season. And now I don't think they should, I'm seeing some people say that they should trade him or cut him or bench him. That's pretty extreme. I think Hollywood's still gonna have a good season. I think Hollywood, even once Rashad Bateman comes back, I think Hollywood still has a real chance of getting 1,000 yards this season. But just get opportunities like that. You can't keep dropping the ball. No pun intended. You can't keep dropping the ball on good opportunities like this. Oh man, like this was just. We still won, but I know some people might say that a win is a win, but it still just didn't feel like that satisfying of a win. Because at the end of the day, this should have been a blowout. In the previous video, I was predicting that the score was going to be about 41-20. This should have easily been a blowout. Like there's about 4 touchdowns. Really, there's about 4 or 5 touchdowns that were left on the table. Not because, Lamar made a mistake, but because the receivers just let him down. They just didn't come through. And it's just a shame to see that, It really is a shame to see that. Man, it's really a shame, man. And obviously stats don't tell the whole story, but I like when Lamar and any player, not just Lamar, but I like when any player has those great games stat wise, because unfortunately a lot of people in the media, when they run with these narratives, they're not going to put it in full context of the game. They're just going to run with the stats. And in this game, Lamar was 16 of 31, I think. Now, this doesn't account for the fact that there was just a bunch of drop passes all game long. Key drop passes. Those 4 or 5 touchdowns, had they been caught, would have, just those alone, and had Lamar not had to spike the ball or throw the ball away to stop the clock, Lamar could have easily finished this game like 24 of 30 out of 30. Like it could have been one of those type of games. And it was just infuriating to see. I really don't even have the words. I don't even know how I've been able to talk for the past 8 minutes straight about this, because I don't even. This is just, a win is still satisfying, but it's just not. This is not what I want to see, because again, you gotta really, when you have games like this, you gotta dominate. Because at the end of the day, this is a bad team. And if you're slipping like this against a bad team, to where they were a 1 field goal away from upsetting you, what do you think is gonna happen further down the line in the season when you start having those tougher games on the schedule? Because the second half of the season is gonna get serious. It's gonna get very serious. So you need to, these wins, you need to go for the kill shot. Lamar was going for the kill shot. If you watch the game, this should have been Lamar's first 400-yard game. He did nothing wrong, but the box score doesn't show that. Well, no, he did do something wrong. My bad. He made a really bad pass towards the end of the game where it got intercepted because he was trying to make something happen because they were just in a bad spot. But outside of that, he had a almost flawless game. So I really, it was just really frustrating to see. The defense, I don't even know what else to say about the defense, man. Like I agree with lunch break hot take on this. You got to just defund the defense, man. Like for for so much money to be invested in the defense, even with injuries to key players, we should still be a top 10 performing defense. And they have started this year off poorly. Yes, the Lions only scored 17 points, but even though this game wasn't that high scoring, the defense still gave up key touchdowns in moments when it mattered most, in moments where they needed to get stops. And that's the thing you still have to pay attention to. So I'm just as mad at the defense, but when I just see those drops, it's just so infuriating, and it's disappointing. It really is, man. Hey, we still won. We still got the win. You know, the offensive line, yeah, they looked okay out there, but towards the end of the game, it was looking shaky. You know, they kept allowing Lamar to get sacked. You know, thankfully, you know, Lamar on that 4th and 19 play threw a great pass to Sammy. You know, a 36-yard pass got him within, you know, Justin Tucker's field goal range. You know, congrats to Justin Tucker. He now has the record for the longest, you know, field goal. You know, I always knew he could do it. I think Justin Tucker, under the right circumstances, could hit a 70-yard field goal in a game. I think he could hit a 70-yard field goal in a game. I mean, it's unlikely, but I think he has the ability to do it. But still, 66 yards is obviously impressive. But we shouldn't have even been in that situation, though. Like that's the sad part, is like, even though that field goal was great and he made history, we shouldn't have been in that situation. You know, like, the receivers just let Lamar down. And, you know, people gotta love being teammates with Lamar, because Lamar is really one of these guys who has every right to yell at these guys. And he's just so calm about it. He's just like, he's just not even focused on yelling at them. He just gets ready, goes for the next play. I probably would have started yelling at these guys, dog. Soon as that game was over, even with the win, I would have wanted to take these guys to the locker room and throw hands, because this is ridiculous. Y'all got me. Y'all got him looking crazy out here. And y'all got some of these, you know, some of these BS Ravens YouTubers trying to downplay Lamar's game and say, oh no, Lamar wasn't the MVP. Lamar's not playing like an MVP. Justin Tucker's the MVP. Dog, who put Justin Tucker in the position to hit that field goal? People are saying Lamar had an okay game. These guys did not watch the game. If you watched the game, you would know that was possibly the best passing game Lamar Jackson has had so far. Like, it was an excellent game. And Lamar Jackson, as we all know, is a better passer than he's given credit for. But this game specifically, he was dropping dime after dime after dime after dime. Nothing you could really say, because again, he's not the one catching the balls. What do you want him to do? It's ridiculous, man. Like, what do you want this guy to do? So again, we still got the win. So it's still, at the end of the day, we still are 2-1 right now. That's great. So we still technically have that good momentum going into week 4. But, you know, the receivers, you know, the receivers really got to step it up, man. Like, it's really ridiculous, man. And I think they will. Like I said, I still think Hollywood's going to have a great season. You know, I still think Sammy's going to have a great season. I still think, in general, the receiving core is gonna have a good season, but this is just games like this make you really feel bad for Lamar. Because when the media covers this game, they're not gonna mention any of these. They're not gonna mention these drops. You know how I know? Because they never mention these drops. This dropping problem was a problem last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. Like, they're not gonna acknowledge it, and you know, it's really a shame, man. But at least, again, on the positive side, we still finished the win. We're going to Denver, or I don't know if we're going to Denver or if Denver's coming to us, but either way, you know, we're playing the Broncos next week. I still think that's another game we're gonna win. You know, the Broncos, they're playing good right now, but they've only really played bad teams. So I still think that's a game we could win. I don't think it was gonna be a blowout. This was the game that I was expecting them to blow the team out, and they didn't. Next week, I would predict a much closer game, but I don't know. You know, who knows, man. You know, but you know, I'm gonna have to just do a separate video in a few days on what I think will happen during the Broncos and Ravens game. I still think the Ravens are gonna win, but I mean, you know, I'll get into that later. Either way, man, it was still a win, and a win is a win. You know, I just really feel bad for Lamar and for the receivers, you know, because they had one bad game so far, but I feel even worse for Lamar, because again, this dude was literally on the cusp of a 400-yard game, man. This game, if again, watch, for anybody who might have stumbled into this video, again, watch that full game. Had those catches been caught, you're talking about a 400+ yard game with 5 or 6 touchdowns. But no, about 4 or 5 touchdowns. Yeah, but whatever, man. Either way, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you guys think it was worse than I thought it was? You guys think it was better than I'm giving it credit for? You know, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below.